You think you're safe inside your car? 4 true scary stories of encounters on the road. A man with a smile that rips his face, an empty car in the fog, and a tapping sound that wasn't rain. Tonight, we prove that some roads are never meant to be driven alone. Don't go anywhere. For this new upload, we dive into the chilling darkness that waits on America's most isolated highways. These are 4 first-hand accounts sent directly to us, where seemingly normal drives became a desperate fight for survival. Have you ever felt that intense, suffocating dread when your car dies in the absolute middle of nowhere? That feeling that the darkness knows you're exposed. From a terrifying roadside stop on Route 62 that ended in a menacing note, to a frantic escape from something unnatural, walking on a truck's roof in a heavy rain. Trust us, you will be checking your rearview mirror after this one. Don't skip a single story, because the creepiest part of these tales is knowing that these places are real. Now, lights off, headphones on. Let's begin the drive. Story 1. The last stop on Route 62. The Smiling Man. The interstate roads of America hold thousands of miles of utter silence and absolute isolation. This is where things appear that defy our logic. Our first story was sent to us by a person named Miles in 2007 when he was new to long-haul driving. He was so exhausted that night he never thought how terrifying a simple smile could be. Turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and listen closely. This is the story of the Smiling Man. It was the summer of 2007, and I was 24. My new job, driving freight long distance, was my dream, but that night it no longer felt like a dream. It was about 2:30 a.m. I had to rush my shipment to Arizona and was driving on Route 62, an old, desolate road that most drivers preferred to avoid. The fatigue was a heavy weight on my eyelids, and my truck's fuel was running critically low. After miles of pure silence, I saw a faint, dim light in the distance, a gas station. The name on the half-burnt sign was Hickory Stop. It was a small, ancient structure belonging to the 70s, completely surrounded by absolute darkness. Only one fluorescent light on the roof was flickering. I knew it was abandoned, but the pumps looked functional, and I had no choice. I parked my truck. As soon as I cut the engine, the sound of the absolute silence became deafening. It smelled like dead earth and old oil. I got out of the truck and started opening the fuel cap when I realized I wasn't alone. At the farthest pump, I saw a shadow. A man, tall, wearing simple dark clothes like a regular traveler. But the strange part was this. He was standing with his back to me, facing the concrete wall of the gas station. He wasn't doing anything. He was just standing there. I tried to talk to him. "Hello, sir. Is this place open? Can I pump gas?" My voice echoed in the stillness. The man didn't react. I was starting to think he was crazy or drunk when the man very slowly began to turn his head. It was so slow. It felt unnatural to me. And then he looked at me. I will never forget his face. His eyes were dark and completely vacant, like 2 deep holes. But the thing that froze me was his smile. It was a huge, unnaturally wide, forced, and strained smile. I don't mean a friendly smile. His smile was stretched past his ears, his lips pulled back so far that all of his teeth were fully exposed. It was like the muscles in his face had been painfully stretched. This was not a smile of joy. It was pure threat. I couldn't move. Only the 2 of us were there in that darkness, me and him smiling and staring at me. I snapped back to reality and quickly grabbed the fuel hose. I tried to keep my head down and focus all my attention on the pump. Quick, just finish my task and leave. As I placed the nozzle in the tank, I suddenly felt a cold, horrifying feeling right behind me. I felt like I was being watched, but too close. I spun around instantly. The smiling man was no longer at the far pump. He was now just a few meters away from me, standing right beside my truck. I hadn't even heard his footsteps. How did he move across that dead asphalt without a sound? His smile was even bigger and wider now. His vacant eyes seemed to be looking into my soul. I dropped the fuel hose and ran toward the truck door. My heart was pounding out of my chest. I jumped inside and locked the door. And then I looked in the side mirror. The smiling man was standing exactly next to my driver's side window. His face was calm, and his smile was no longer the strange one from before, but now resembled a sign of victory. The thing that utterly terrified me was that even though he was breathing, his breath did not fog up the cold glass of the truck. I screamed, started the engine, and slammed the gas pedal to the floor. With the sound of the tires squealing, I drove away from that cursed place. I drove at full speed for tens of minutes, holding my breath and constantly checking the rear view. I finally took a deep breath, thinking I was clear. Just then, my hand touched something on the dashboard, a small folded piece of paper. Right on my dashboard, a place I was sure was empty. I pulled the truck over and, with hands that were shaking violently, I picked up the paper and opened it. The only thing written on it in red pen was this: "Did you enjoy the trip?" I did. I sold my truck and never drove those roads again. The following year, I heard that the Hickory Stop station had completely burned down, and no one found out how it happened. I don't know who that man was. A lunatic, or something that shouldn't be. All I know is that he somehow managed to reach my cabin and leave his message silently in less than a few minutes. And his smile, it still appears in my nightmares every night. That was Miles's story. Have you seen anything similar on a desolate road? What did that man want? Let us know in the comments section. Story 2. The Dark Lights of Highway 191. Tonight we move to the desolate stretches of the Southwest, a land steeped in myth and emptiness. This next submission is short, brutal, and comes from a woman named Sarah. This encounter lasted barely 3 minutes, but was enough to redefine fear for her. Lock your car doors and prepare for the dark lights of Highway 191. It was a Wednesday night around 11 p.m. in Arizona. I was heading back to LA, and to save time, I took the old Highway 191. The road is absolutely deserted at those hours. Just the desert, the stars, and silence. I was tired but focused. After a sharp bend, I noticed headlights ahead. It was another car. The lights belonged to an older sedan parked on the dirt shoulder, right in front of a "Do Not Enter" sign. The car was off. No hazard lights were flashing, and in that darkness, the car looked black. I slowed down a bit. Maybe someone had broken down. As I got closer, I saw that the car's interior lights were also off. No one was in the driver's seat or the passenger seat. It was completely empty. I told myself, maybe they went for help, and decided to just drive past quickly. The moment my front bumper passed the sedan's rear bumper, everything went dark. Not just my headlights, but the dashboard, the radio. The entire truck's power cut out completely. It was like someone had flipped a master switch. Absolute darkness. The silence I had heard before, compared to this, felt like a loud party. And then, the sound came. A deep, wet hissing or gurgling sound, like the labored breathing of a large, choking creature. But the sound was coming directly from the interior ceiling to my car, right above my head. It wasn't a slithering sound, but heavy and disturbing. I held my breath and ducked down beneath the steering wheel. The sound continued. Gurgle, dry and wet. I was absolutely certain that if I could stop breathing, the thing wouldn't hear me anymore. I tried to turn the ignition. Nothing. Again. Still nothing. The sound grew louder, as if the entity had moved closer. Finally, I turned the key for the third time, and the engine miraculously roared to life. I slammed the gas pedal and drove away, without looking in the mirror. It was only after several miles that I dared to take a quick glance back. The old sedan was still there, off and alone. But now a strange, faint, blue-white light was glowing upwards from the sedan's roof. It wasn't a headlight. It looked more like moonlight shining from underwater. I never went back to find out what that gurgling was. But I know this. That parked car was bait. Bait for something that waited in the silence of that desert for you to lose your power. That was Sarah's story. What do you think that strange sound in the ceiling could have been? Was the car actually a trap? Let us know your opinions in the comments section. Story 3. The Fog on the Turnout. For our third story, we head to the infamous coastal highways of California. This submission comes from Jason, who learned that not every safe place is truly safe. This chilling event was hidden not by night, but by a silent, suffocating fog. Prepare yourself for the fog on the turnout. This happened a few years ago on California's Highway 1, around 1 a.m. I was driving, and the fog became so thick I couldn't see anything ahead. This wasn't normal fog, it was completely white and heavy, like swimming in milk. I decided to pull over at the first turnout I saw by the side of the road. The turnout was small and dirt, big enough for maybe 2 or 3 cars. I parked, turned off the engine, and shut off the lights. Absolute silence. The fog had completely swallowed the city lights. In that silence, I had a feeling I shouldn't be there. I was just about to close my eyes when, on the passenger side through the fog, I noticed a faint red light. The light was small and circular, like the end of a lit cigarette, but it was moving up and down as if someone was walking. Curious and scared, I stared at the window. The red light was moving closer to my car, very slowly, very deliberately. I tried to pull myself down, but my curiosity kept me watching. Suddenly, the red light stopped right next to my window. I turned my head slightly, and in that moment I could see something else. The thing that was holding the red light. A large, wide hand with dull gray skin and unnatural joints. Its fingernails were black and crooked. This hand was definitely not human. And then, bam! The hand slammed against the passenger window with full force. The terrifying sound in the absolute silence of the fog was amplified 100 times over. The hand started clawing at the door handle, twisting it with all its might. I screamed. I quickly turned the key, but the truck wouldn't start. The hand kept pulling the handle. That thing was outside, right in the fog, and it wanted in. I pushed the key harder. The engine roared to life with a horrific sound. I threw the gear into D and sped away, ignoring the rocks and dirt. I drove for about a mile until the fog suddenly ended and the moonlight came out. I glanced in the mirror. There was nothing behind me, just the empty road and the dense fog that completely covered that small turnout. That hand did not belong to a human, and that thing was waiting in the fog for tired drivers to pull over so it could take their power. I haven't stopped on any roadside turnout since that night. That was Jason's story. What do you think that red light was? And what was that non-human hand looking for? Share your opinions with us in the comments section. Story 4. The tapping on the glass. Our fourth story comes from Alex, a student driving through the isolated forests of the Pacific Northwest to see family. We all know how terrifying a car breakdown is at night, but when the rain drowns out all the world's sounds, the real fear begins. This is the tale of the tapping on the glass. It was about 1 a.m., and the rain on the forest highway was blinding me. The roads in the Northwest are completely deserted in the winter. I was exhausted and just wanted to get home. Suddenly, with a single click under the dashboard, everything died. The car was completely dead. No power, no lights, just absolute silence. The only sound left was the drumming rain, lashing against the roof and windows. I was stuck in absolute darkness, in the middle of a forest surrounded by trees as far as I could see. Frantically, I grabbed my phone. No signal. I tried to start the engine. Nothing. Again. Still nothing. A cold sweat broke out on my forehead. Just as I was looking at my phone through the heavy sound of the rain, I heard something. Tap. A distinct, firm tap, coming directly from the rear windshield of my car. It was one strike, but it cut through the sound of the rain clearly. My heart stopped. I spun my head around immediately. Nothing. Just absolute blackness and the drops streaming down the glass. It could have been a branch. Right? And then I heard it again, but this time it was different. Tap, tap, tap. This time, not on the glass, but on the roof, right above my head. It was softer, like a fingertip strike, but clear and rhythmic. The sound quickly started moving, first over my head, then forward, and then right onto the front windshield. This movement couldn't have been the wind or a branch. This was a creature walking on the car, and now it was right in front of my face. I stared up at the windshield, but because of the raindrops and the darkness, I saw nothing but a vague shadow. But I knew it was up there, and it was staring down at me. I screamed and turned the key with all my strength. Once, twice. On the third turn, the car roared to life with a terrifying scream. I threw it into reverse and sped away wildly down that rainy road. After a few minutes, I reached the main highway and dared to look in the mirror. There was nothing behind me, but still, whenever the rain hits my car windows, I always wait for one extra sound, a tap that tells me I'm still right behind you. That was Alex's story. What was that creature walking on the car? It wasn't human, because it couldn't stand at that height on the rear window. Your opinions are valuable to us. If you made it to the end, congratulations. You survived the road, for now. The sheer panic and terror in those 4 stories prove that on the road, the scariest thing isn't always another driver. Sometimes it's something ancient, something hungry, Something that should not exist. Which story broke you? Was it the victory smile of the man at Hickory Stop, or the dreadful tapping of the unseen creature in the fog? Let us know in the comments below. But the terror doesn't end here. Next week we bring the fear closer to home. You've asked for it, and now it's coming. True scary stories from the internet that you should not watch at night. Trust me, you won't sleep after the next upload. If you have the courage necessary to watch the next video, stay with us.